Man City are back absolutely huge against Huddersfield on the weekend. I know it's a championship side, but I think honestly in this video I just wanted to break down a few observations I made about City and where City are going long term into the future, because this season there's still a treble on the cards for City. There's still a treble. You know, the Premier League title race is wide open in my opinion, with Arsenal dropping off. And the Champions League, you know, City got Copenhagen. I think European fans, Premier League fans will be very, very nervous about where City are going at the moment, because it was an ominous display against Huddersfield Town. It was ominous against Fluminense, Everton in the Premier League. I know these aren't the best sides in the world, but the genius of Guardiola, the genius, I think, of Jurgen Klopp, I talked about it on this channel yesterday. These managers, these top-level managers, use early rounds in the League Cup. They use the Europa League in Jurgen Klopp's example this season, the Club World Cup. They use it as an opportunity to get fringe players or younger players into the starting 11, but playing in a certain way, playing where they believe they can cement their position in that side. Right, the likes of Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis and Sergio Gomez played yesterday. Whether they're long-term prospects for the club is a debate for a different video. But they use that motivation. So the likes of De Bruyne coming through, Phil Foden, Alvarez, Haaland to come back. They're all thinking, I need to fight these guys off for a spot. So when City beat Huddersfield 5-0, it's not simply about beating a championship side that are struggling at the bottom end of the championship. It's more than that. And I'm seeing that from City. I'm seeing a side that are hungry, that play absolutely beautiful football, absolutely dominated Huddersfield. It was a mauling, really. And again, you have to respect the opposition. You have to respect what Darren Moore is doing at a very, very limited club in the Championship. A club that probably, you know, good, decent chance they could get relegated as well. But it's still an FA Cup game. There's still a banana skin there. It's still a semi-rivalry. It's still got competition at its heart. And City, if you look at the actual competition, they're on for another treble. City could win another treble. I'm not saying it will happen, but this awful start to the season where City couldn't beat Chelsea, couldn't beat Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, nearly lost to Luton. It's now being kind of overshadowed by the fact that City have just won the Club World Cup for the first time in the club's history. An incredible achievement on that level. A great win against Everton in the Premier League recently as well. And now this in the FA Cup. I really do think City are cooking and are back to our best. Let's be completely real. But I'm going to do three kind of overview reasons why I think City are back. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate it. And obviously give the video a like if you like this new setup behind me. It's not finished yet, but, you know, try something different. The overview will start with my man, Phil Foden. He's a genius. It's as simple as that. Football fans that don't understand the narrative about Phil Foden, that aren't Man City fans, will say that he's a bench warmer, that will criticise his lack of game time. How about the fact that Guardiola rests him in games, especially when he was 17, 18, 19 coming through, rested him in games, but he always plays him in big games, plays him in the Club World Cup, Super Cup. He's playing every big game. He's the first name almost on the team sheet this season, and his numbers are absolutely staggering. 2 goals, 2 assists. 3 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. 5 and 6 in 19 appearances in the Premier League. That's goals and assists. FA Cup, 2 goals now already in only 1 game. Club World Cup, 2 goals as well. So this is a guy that's operating on a very, very high level. Phil Foden is... he's a total footballer. He can do everything. If he's having a bad game, he doesn't lose the ball. He doesn't lose the ball. Someone like Kai Havertz, someone like Odegaard... You know, someone like maybe Curtis Jones in the Liverpool midfield, they're not total footballers. I'm sorry, they're not total footballers. If they can't have a good game, I don't see how they contribute towards their side in a positive way. Phil Foden has so many more goals than those players that I'm talking about this season. He's having a better goal scoring season than Saka, let's be completely real. Marcus Rashford, some of these England players that he'll be competing with to start for England in the summer. But if he has a bad game this season, his ability to control the game, he's playing more minutes in midfield as well. His ability to... An awkward ball under pressure comes from Edison. He picks out the sky. He links up play. He makes players around him better. It's a bit like De Bruyne as well. I think De Bruyne, especially when he first came, didn't always have the best numbers in the world. He'd score a worldie every now and then, and he'd link up players. Assists were amazing. But De Bruyne would make everyone around him better. A bit like David Silva. And Phil Foden is... he is becoming the David Silva role that I think many City fans thought he'd be, the Stockport Iniesta. But he's doing it in his own way. I think he's quicker. He's so much quicker than David Silva. The way he accelerates through midfield is scary. And Darren Moore said it. I mean, it's a testament really when a manager comes out, because obviously managers are a little bit under pressure. They don't want to be seen to be too gassed up about rival players maybe, and you don't see it too often. But for Darren Moore to come out and say, look, Phil Foden was unplayable, he actually said that in the press conference. It's a small testament that I see as a City fan to Phil Foden's ability that other football fans simply don't. So the first thing has to be Phil Foden. I think it's beyond him just being good for City. He's now actually taken the season by the scruff of the neck and saying, I'm in control of this season. I'm actually in control of Man City in terms of the midfield, in terms of making people around me better. He's getting into his prime years. He really is in his prime years. Have to talk about Julian Alvarez as well. Pops up with a goal against Huddersfield. I've been super impressed with how good he's been since Haaland picked up an injury. The front line looks more mobile. The front line has... It's weird because Haaland is so naturally gifted at scoring. Of course, he's at any weird angle, he almost puts it in the net automatically. But Alvarez has got a range of finishing slightly different to Haaland. The little toe pokes, the little P-rollers, the little finishes under the body of the keeper. Where Haaland, I think, needs... Even though he gets into the positions, I don't know how to... Maybe I don't know enough vocabulary in the English dictionary to describe why Haaland's scored 50-odd goals last season. I still think Alvarez has got a better range of finishing in certain departments, certainly in the box. Very Aguero, Tevez-esque in terms of the little finishes, the little low rollers that could kind of go under the keeper. We saw it against Huddersfield. Alvarez has been absolutely incredible. I'm going to list off some numbers of Alvarez as well. A goal in the FA Cup, 6 in the Premier League, and a few assists as well. A few in the Champions League, 4 in the Champions League, and Club World Cup as well. So he's a genius striker. He'd start for Arsenal. Imagine Arsenal with Alvarez. Wow. Even Liverpool, Bayern Munich, some of these big, well, maybe different with Kane, but Alvarez would start for all these big sides, and there's a discussion that really he shouldn't be playing with Erling Haaland, and Haaland should start as soon as he comes back. So Alvarez is a massive factor in this City side. It's really scary, in my opinion. And we have to talk about the third factor, which is Ruben Dias. He had an unbelievably high pass completion rate against Huddersfield Town. We're talking, I think it was over 95%, which is surreal for a centre-back. And the big thing for Ruben Dias, and this is why I think Guardiola is a genius, because obviously you want your players to operate at... You want your players to be 10 out of 10 every single game of the season. But let's be real, it's hard. It's almost impossible. Look at Saka, for example, someone that's supremely fit, supremely confident, supremely talented. And I think he's been run into the ground by Mikel Arteta. And I think he should have been rested and substituted earlier. And the reason this connects to Ruben Dias, because Ruben Dias has been exceptional for 6 months. I'm talking from February, March, April, May. Then a gap, and then he was superb at the start of the season as well. And then he fell off. He definitely fell off. There are City fans saying that he shouldn't have been starting, really. Culpable for a few mistakes and some of the drop points, especially around that kind of Palace draw and the Spurs result and those kind of games. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look good in the air. He looked a little bit slow. And I think he's definitely been rotated a few games. The Akanji-Ake partnership was kind of coming along a little bit. And he was superb against Huddersfield Town. So Guardiola's genius is recognising this and having the ability to rotate the squad, having players that can come in and fulfil a system. That's why these great managers are system-based managers, because whether it's Doku or Grealish, it's not about individuality, it's about them working for the side. And Ruben Dias, on an individual basis, makes our defence better, of course. But if his level has dropped off a little bit, then Guardiola can rotate with the confidence of knowing that number 3 and number 4 can come in and operate to a similar level to Ruben Dias without it costing... we're never too reliant on Ruben Dias. I thought he was superb. I think he's going to come into his own in the back end of the season. And that's when he's always been good, in my opinion. I think when he first came into the league, I remember he played against Leeds United. I think it was away at Ellen Road with a half-empty stadium because of COVID. And he really struggled. It was a wet day. It was a hard place to go. I think Leeds just got promoted as well. And I think he really struggled. And that was early in the season. I feel like Ruben Diaz is the kind of centre back. Don't forget he's young as well. But at the back end of seasons, he's kind of in automatic mode and he does things without thinking too much. I think some players just play at different points in the season. Ilkay Gundogan was very similar as well. So Ruben Diaz is coming into his own. We're going to look into some fixtures, but let me know in the comments down below. But it's so much fun talking about City at the moment because I think he's got everyone ticking to a very, very high level, and the confidence and the kind of high fives and the kind of, even players are getting substituted, they're kind of, you can feel the energy. And again, I know it's Huddersfield Town. I don't want to get slagged off in the comments for talking about Huddersfield Town beating them 5-0. But I just see it as a City fan. City use these games against lower level opposition as a platform for the big games, as almost trial games a little bit. Whereas, there's a weight around Arsenal, there's a weight around Man United, there's a weight around Chelsea. Those managers, they kind of grind through these games and struggle and labour, and there's low confidence around the setup. But Guardiola's genius and Jurgen Klopp is using these games as a platform for the remainder of the season. That's what this video is all about, really. Newcastle United away, Burnley at home in the league, Brentford away, Everton at home, Copenhagen. That's basically halfway through February. That could be 5 wins in a row. I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant, but the way City are playing, it really wouldn't surprise me. Chelsea at home, not too bad. Bournemouth away, Man United at home, Copenhagen at home as well, going into the kind of March period where after that I think Liverpool arrive. We go to to Anfield. That is a winning run of 8 games in a row if I've never seen one. Whatever you could say about the composition of the season for City, yeah, there are some tough games in there. You obviously see Liverpool arrive and Spurs as well, but the Chelsea away day is hard, and Man United as well. So some of these harder away days, the Emirates, have already they're gone. They're out of the calendar for another season. And City are now above Arsenal in the league. City are through to the next round of the FA Cup. So it's opened up in a beautiful way for City. And that's why I think City really are back to our best. And I'm very, very gassed about it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Would really appreciate it. And give a thumbs up for the new setup if you've made it this far. We're gonna have some stuff here. But yeah, I'll see you very soon.